If you don't know the difference between a Band 6 answer and a Band 7 answer, you're probably not going to be able to get a Band 7 answer in the IELTS test. So today we're going to go over some examples and I'm going to show you why one answer is better than another. If you don't remember, my name is Kevin. I am a former IELTS examiner and current IELTS teacher, and today I'm going to show you some real answers and the differences between them. So remember, we're looking at fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. All of these things have to be improved to move you into Band 7 territory. Also remember that no part of the test is really more important than the other. You want to go in from part 1 giving the best answers you can give because the test is graded as a whole. Let's start by looking at a part 1 answer. The question is, do you prefer studying alone or with others? A Band 6 answer might be something simple, like, I like to study alone because it helps me focus. An answer like this is really common to hear on the IELTS. Why? Well, it's a little complex because we've added the because. Most students know they must give a reason for a statement, but it's really not enough. Let's look at a Band 7 answer. Personally, I prefer studying alone because it allows me to focus without distractions. However, when preparing for exams, I sometimes join study groups to share ideas. I find that a mix of both works best for me. Wow, a much better answer. And why is it a better answer? Well, first, it's a more extended response with more detail. Second, you're setting up contrast. However, you're giving me, I like this, but also, I like this. This is interesting because a lot of IELTS students, particularly when they just begin to study, think that there is a correct answer and they should answer the question 100%. They didn't do that here. They said, yes, A sometimes, but also B. That's terrific, and it builds a more complex answer. Also, the answer gives personal experience, which you know I love. Let's look at another part 1 question. The question is, what do you usually do on the weekends? Now, a common lower level response would be something similar to, on the weekends, I like to go to the cafes with my friends because it is fun to do. Okay. You're not really telling me a lot. And also, is fun the best vocabulary that we can use? Why is it fun? What do you do? A part 7 response might say, on weekends, I like to unwind by reading or catching up on Netflix shows. If the weather is nice, I might go for a walk with friends. I think having a balance between relaxing and socializing is really important. Why is that a better answer? We have a mix of verb tenses. For example, I like to unwind. I might go. And we have some natural idiomatic phrasing, like catching up on Netflix. That's terrific. Now let's look at a part 2 question and response. Note that these are a little shorter than what you will be giving in a part 2 response in the exam. I want you to speak for a full 2 minutes when you're in the exam. Our first part 2 question is, describe a time when you help someone. A Band 6 answer might go as follows. A time I helped someone. There was this one time, I think it was last year, maybe the year before. Anyway, it was my cousin. He needed help with his math homework because he had a really difficult exam coming up. And I was pretty good at math, so, I thought I should help him. So I remember we were sitting in my room, and I was helping him with math. And he didn't understand. He kept getting confused. So when we stopped studying, and then we started again. And I remember we worked for a long time. I think maybe 2 hours or something. Oh, and then after he took a test, he told me he did really well. I felt happy because he did well. And also, yeah, it was nice to help my cousin. So yeah, that's the time I helped someone. Was that interesting? Did that hold your attention? Of course not. The intonation was very flat. The words were all quite repetitive. The story was very boring. It didn't really tell me anything, and it gave me a lot of unnecessary details. I get answers like this a lot. Now, let's look at a band 7, something that hopefully is going to be a little better. Well, one memorable time I helped someone was when my younger cousin was struggling with his math homework. He had a big exam coming up, and he was completely lost. Since I'd always been good at math, I offered to help him. Instead of just giving him the answers, I broke down the homework into simple steps and used examples. For instance, when he was confused about the problems, I compared them to things he already knew. That really helped him visualize the problem. After about an hour of practice, I could see that he understood things better. A few days later, he called me and told me that he had scored 9 out of 10 on his test. He even said his teacher told him he did a good job. I felt incredibly proud, not just because I helped him pass, but because I saw how much he improved. That experience made me realize how rewarding teaching can be, and it's one of the reasons I enjoy helping others learn. Okay, a much better answer. I'm really not using that much more advanced vocabulary, but I am using a lot more intonation in my voice. And I think more importantly, I'm telling a decent story. It flows. There's a beginning, middle, and end. It's interesting to the listener. All of that is going to help you get a better score. It is a more fluent and coherent response, with more vocabulary, with a better range of grammar, and with better pronunciation. Let's look at some of the specific differences between the two. In the Band 6 answer, we had a lot of hesitations, fillers, repetition. There were a lot of unnecessary details, simple and repetitive structure. The examples were pretty vague, and it was a weak conclusion with no real reflection. The Band 7 answer, however, was smooth. It had a natural flow. It was focused. There were more varied sentence structures. There was a clear example to let the listener know what I was talking about. And at the ending, there was a strong ending. It explained with my emotion why the experience was meaningful. The Band 7 answer is tighter. It includes just the right amount of details, and my voice conveys emotion that I'm trying to get across. Let's look at some Part 3 answers now. For example, the question may be, do you think schools should teach life skills? A Band 7 answer might go as follows. Yes, I strongly believe life skills should be part of the school curriculum. Many students graduate without knowing how to manage money or handle stress. If schools included lessons on budgeting and mental health, young people would be better prepared for adulthood. This is a great answer. It expresses your thoughts and opinions clearly. It explains more what you mean by giving supporting data, supporting examples. And it uses complex sentence structures. Let's do another one. The question is, how has technology changed the way we communicate? Technology has completely transformed communication. Nowadays, people rely on messaging apps and video calls instead of face-to-face conversations. While this is convenient, I think it has made personal interactions less meaningful. This is a great balanced answer because it shows both advantages and disadvantages. Remember, Part 3 is about your own interpretation, evaluation, thinking a little bit more. You're doing that here. Also, you're using natural expressions like completely transformed. You know how much I like adverbs, and using completely here really gets across a very precise message to me, your listener. Overall, it's a pretty good answer. So what did we learn today? Let's recap. A Band 7 answer is going to sound more natural and more confident. It's going to expand ideas naturally. and it's going to use a range of grammar structures. Practice out loud, record yourself. Listen back to your older answers as you go forward and see if your answers develop. See if you can use some of these tactics and some of the tactics I talked about in previous videos to expand your answer. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it's certainly not difficult, and it's something that you absolutely can learn to do with practice. So if you found this video helpful, give me a like, give me a subscription, share with your friends. And until next time, happy studies.